Okay, so I found all these Transformers animated Valentines that I never gave out because I don't know, Valentine's is on a weird day or something, and I totally didn't even realize they had these awesome tattoos in them. So, yeah, yeah, that shows how cool I am. Hey guys, back again for another Transformers review. This time I am reviewing All Hail Megatron number 9. Very exciting. This officially catches me up to the series. I guess the first thing to talk about obviously would be the cover. Okay, the way that I pick up my comics, since I can't get to the store during the day, I call and reserve them ahead of time, and I just get whatever cover is left. So this time I got the variant cover for this, and it was done by Don Perlin. I don't really like it all that much. It's kind of grown on me a little bit, but not really. There's also something weird with the coloring. It just looks dirty, which is weird. So not a big fan of this cover, I have to say. And a really interesting note about this issue is that our friend Guidi, whose name I still can't pronounce, is off for art in this book. Instead, the art is done by Robert Diaz and Emiliano Santalucia, which I'm sure I pronounced those wrong too. And how they split these up is that one artist took the human storyline while the other took the Cybertronian storyline. So, that's kind of interesting. So the issue starts off and it's in New York, and we once again see Bridge and Sarah, who are characters that we haven't really seen, I think, since issue 5, and they are just in a department store, obviously, like, getting supplies and clothes and stuff. And this is where I want to mention that I don't really like the art style that is used for the scenes on Earth. I think if the entire series had been done like this, I wouldn't have been such a big deal to me, but I just don't really like it. It doesn't work all that well for me. It's a bit cartoony for my taste, but it also doesn't push the cartooniness enough, so it's a weird in-between thing, and I'm not a big fan. So Bridge and Sarah are basically just talking about who is the leader of their little pack of survivors, and they're just talking about how they're going to stay alive, and they run across, in this department store, randomly, Spike, who we saw survive the Rat Trap, no, not Rat Trap, sorry, I was watching Beast Wars this morning, who obviously survived the Rat Bat attack a few issues ago. And, you know, Spike feels that they should really be fighting back and not running away, and, you know, they gotta fight the Decepticons, which is really easy if you're, you know, a human being. And Sarah says, well, we don't have any weapons, and Spike says, well, I can help you with that. And then out of nowhere is a new character that I guess we're supposed to assume has been there the whole time, named Charles. I personally don't remember him from any of the other issues. Maybe he is something I missed. So yeah, then we get introduced to Charles, and that's basically the end of the scene. So then we go back to Cybertron. The art in the Cybertron parts of this issue is okay. It's a little stiff to me. So we see that Ironhide is trying to talk to Mirage after, you know, beating him up, and he is trying to apologize for what he's done, and Mirage is not having any of it. And interestingly, we see that Mirage's Autobot symbol was never fixed, even though he has obviously gotten better from when Ironhide beat him up. And then Mirage is basically just like, Ironhide, don't ever talk to me ever again. I hate you. So we jump to Ratchet and Kup, and Ratchet is telling Kup that there is no morale, like, at all among the Autobots. The reason there's no morale is because Prime isn't around, but Ratchet is kind of doubting that Prime will survive, so that's not really looking good. And then we go back to the humans, and we see that Spike has gotten this weapon that he was talking about. And he mentions that the gun is made from one of them, being the Decepticons, and he says that it's from one that they found in the ground, and it had a gun rather than an arm. So yeah, it's a shockwave gun. Fun stuff. And then all of a sudden the building that Sarah and Spike are in just starts shaking, and they run outside, and we see that it is Rumble who's attacking their building. So then they obviously start running away from Rumble because they don't want to get smashed. And I said that I wanted to see if they were going to do something really cool with Rumble like they did with Frenzy. It's kind of like I expected. They're pretty much just doing the whole pile driver thing, which is okay. I think not having the pile drivers would have been kind of weird. And so they're running away, and then all of a sudden Spike like rides a motorcycle out of a window and is being chased by Rumble. He uses jetpack, which is cool. And Rumble just goes and touches the back wheel of the motorcycle, and Spike then of course flies off of it, which I thought was really funny. And as Rumble's about to, I don't know, step on him or something, Charles shoots him in the face with a bazooka. And there's an odd comment from Charles that he says, "That's for my boy." So I don't know if off screen, I'm guessing Rumble killed this man's son. I don't really like when they just bring stuff in that we haven't seen before, but I guess we're just supposed to assume that. But as he's saying that, this really terrible sound just kind of breaks out, and that's the end of that scene. And we jump back to the Autobots. And by this point in time, Ratchet has been able to basically fix all of the Autobots, so everyone's looking in a lot better shape. So then we pretty much just get an example of how low the morale is. Mirage is saying that he doesn't even see the point of getting Prime back because there's no way off of Cybertron. And Drift says, you know, we can't stop being who we are, and Bumblebee immediately turns on him and says, well, we don't want you to be what you are. In case anyone hasn't caught on, Drift, I'm pretty sure, if not positive, that Drift is an ex-Decepticon. So Bumblebee kind of turns on him and is like, well, we don't want you to be what you are. That's dumb. And as things are escalating, Sideswipe comes out and he says, Sunstreaker is dead. And then Sideswipe says that he thinks that Sunstreaker really just wanted out of it all, and he was successful in kind of getting away from what's been going on. And then he says, I think we all deserve to die as well. So that's really heavy stuff. So then we go back to the humans, and apparently something very big is running towards them, and it's Soundwave. And this is a scene that I thought was very interesting. Soundwave sees Rumble, who I think we're supposed to assume has been killed. So Soundwave goes and picks up Rumble and kind of goes into his own version of mourning. The scene is already a good scene, and it's interesting to see this kind of emotion with a Decepticon, but I think it could have been so much better had the art been different. So I was kind of disappointed in the way that the scene was handled. And actually my next problem with the art is in the very next scene on Cybertron. We get a very interesting monologue from Sideswipe about how the Autobots have become no better than the Decepticons because they keep killing and destroying other races to get what they want. And I really love this monologue, and I love the idea of it, but I don't like the page. It's basically just a series of Sideswipe expressions, and at the end of his little speech, he asks, how are we any better than Decepticons? And from behind him we hear someone say, that's a good question. And bam! Optimus Prime somehow is totally okay. He gives, you know, this uplifting speech to all of his Autobot brethren. And on the last page, Spike has called his father, who has let him know that, yeah, they kind of are planning on dropping a bomb on New York, which would be bad for Spike and his buddies. This issue is okay for me. I think it's really disappointing that at least two of the scenes that could have been absolutely amazing, primarily Soundwave mourning over Rumble's death, could have been so much better had the art not been what it was. The art isn't necessarily really bad, but it just didn't feel appropriate, especially on Earth. And I think I think this issue does a good job at what it's supposed to do, which is setting up for the next issue. And that's basically it. So I will see you all for my next review. See you then.